Aggression is the shadow of a mind untamed, a soul at war with itself. When faced with such fury, our instinct is often to fight fire with fire, to match anger with anger. Yet, as Seneca reminds us, an angry man is again angry with himself when he returns to reason. Let us not lose ourselves to the same tempest. Instead, we embrace the higher path, one paved by Stoic wisdom and governed by self-retreat. Together, we will explore 6 verbal strategies to not only diffuse aggression, but to inspire regret and reflection in the aggressor. 1. Master the pause, the Stoic's shield against rashness. Imagine standing before an aggressive person whose words are sharp, whose tone is cutting, and whose presence feels like a storm. The natural impulse is to react, to strike back, to defend yourself in the heat of the moment. But as Marcus Aurelius taught, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is where the pause becomes your greatest weapon. The pause is not merely a silence, it is a deliberate act of control. In that brief moment, you distance yourself from the emotional chaos. You give yourself the space to observe without being swept away. This pause says, "I will not let your anger dictate my actions." It is an act of defiance against the tyranny of impulsive reaction. Why does the pause work? Aggression thrives on immediacy. When someone is angry, they expect a response that matches their intensity. A heated argument, a defensive retort, or a flustered explanation. By pausing, you disrupt this rhythm. Psychologically, the aggressor is thrown off balance. They are left to confront their own words, often realizing their anger is exaggerated or misplaced. Emotionally, the pause signals that you are not a willing participant in their drama. This frustrates their attempt to pull you into their chaos, and frustration often leads to introspection. As Seneca wisely said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." The pause grants you the time to decide. Should I respond? Should I remain silent? Should I redirect the conversation? It ensures that your reaction is guided by reason, not by emotion. How to master the pause. Breathe deeply. When the urge to retaliate rises, focus on your breath. Inhale deeply through your nose, hold it for a moment, and exhale slowly. This simple act calms your nervous system and prevents you from speaking rashly. Internal dialogue. Use the pause to remind yourself of your principles. Think, "I am in control of myself. Their anger is their burden, not mine." This inner dialogue grounds you and keeps your emotions in check. Observe the aggressor. In the silence of the pause, observe the aggressor closely. Notice their body language, tone, and choice of words. Often, anger reveals more about the person expressing it than about the situation itself. This awareness gives you the upper hand. Visualize the bigger picture. Ask yourself, will this matter tomorrow, next week, or a year from now? The pause allows you to see the situation in perspective, reducing the urgency to respond impulsively. The power of saying nothing. There is profound strength in withholding words. The pause is not weakness, it is a signal of mastery. The more time you take to assess, the more control you maintain over the interaction. In this pause, the aggressor is left alone with their anger. It mirrors back to them, unchecked and unsupported. This silence forces them to confront their own behavior. Often, they will fill the void with explanations, backtracking, or even apologies. As Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." The pause embodies this principle, showing that wisdom often resides in restraint. When the pause ends, when you finally choose to speak, your words carry more weight. They are measured, intentional, and free of emotional entanglement. You respond not to escalate, but to guide, to resolve, or to maintain your dignity. To master the pause is to master yourself. It is to declare to the world, "I am not a slave to my emotions or to yours. I am the master of my actions." And in that mastery lies true strength, a strength that often leaves the aggressor questioning their own actions and, perhaps, feeling a pang of regret. 2. Disarm with calm, the quiet power of composure. Aggression is fire, wild, consuming, and desperate to spread. Calmness, on the other hand, is water, steady, cool, and unyielding. When faced with an aggressive person, the Stoic knows that meeting fire with fire only feeds the flames. Instead, we embrace the quiet power of composure, extinguishing their aggression with a presence that refuses to burn. Marcus Aurelius observed, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Calmness is this revenge, not a petty triumph, but a demonstration of inner mastery that renders their anger powerless. When you respond to aggression with calm, you do not only maintain your dignity, you subtly expose the futility of their fury. Why does calmness disarm? Anger thrives on opposition. When someone lashes out, they expect to provoke a reaction, a raised voice, a defensive argument, or an emotional outburst. Calmness breaks this cycle. Psychologically, your calmness acts as a mirror reflecting their heightened emotions back to them without reinforcement. It forces them to confront the stark contrast between their aggression and your peace. Emotionally, it denies them the satisfaction of control. The more you maintain your composure, the more they realize that their anger has no power over you, leading them to question their behavior. As Epictetus taught, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Calmness creates the space for the aggressor to see themselves clearly, an opportunity for learning that anger would otherwise obscure. How to disarm with calm. Maintain a neutral tone. When they shout, respond in a voice that is steady and low. Your tone should redirect the interaction away from exclamation. For example, instead of saying, "Why are you yelling at me?" you might say, "Let's talk about this calmly so we can understand each other better." This subtle shift redirects the interaction away from escalation. Control your body language. Aggression can provoke physical reactions, clenched fists, crossed arms, or tense posture. Instead, relax your shoulders. Keep your hands open and maintain steady eye contact. A composed physical presence reinforces your verbal calmness, signaling that you are not a threat. Respond with empathy. Calmness does not mean indifference. Show the aggressor that you are listening by acknowledging their frustration. For instance, you could say, I understand this situation is upsetting for you. This simple statement can deflate their anger, as it shows you are not dismissing their feelings. Set boundaries without aggression. The effect of calmness on the aggressor. Calmness is a destabilizing force to an angry mind. When their fury meets your tranquility, the aggressor often begins to feel the absurdity of their behavior. They might become self-conscious, embarrassed, or even reflective. This is the moment when their anger starts to dissolve. Seneca wisely noted, "Where there is anger, there is always pain underneath." Calmness allows you to pierce through the superficial aggression and reach the root of their struggle. While you may not resolve their deeper issues in the moment, your response can plant a seed of awareness that grows long after the interaction ends. Why calmness is strength, not weakness. The Stoic understands that calmness is not about avoiding conflict or submitting to aggression. It is about asserting control over yourself in a way that makes conflict unnecessary. As Musonius Rufus taught, "He who restrains his anger overcomes his greatest enemy." Calmness is the ultimate expression of restraint. It demonstrates mastery over your emotions and turns their aggression into a lesson they teach themselves. Picture a scenario. Someone accuses you unfairly in a heated tone. Instead of firing back, you respond with calm precision. "I hear your frustration. Let's clarify this so we can work through it together." Your calm tone immediately contrasts with their anger. If they continue to yell, you maintain your poise. "I want to resolve this, but we can't do that unless we both stay level-headed." Soon, their voice softens. They realize they are the only one shouting in a room filled with peace. They begin to question their own behavior. This is the transformative power of calmness. The Stoic's quiet victory. To disarm with calm is to take ownership of the interaction. It is a reminder that we are not at the mercy of others' emotions. We are governed only by our own principles. In this way, calmness is not just a tool to diffuse aggression. It is a testament to our strength. Together, let us walk this path, unshaken by the storms of others, proving through our actions that true power lies in mastery over one's self. When we respond with calm, we do not merely win the moment, we win the deeper battle for our inner peace. Redirect the energy, turning hostility into harmony. Aggression is like a wild river, chaotic and forceful, yet brimming with potential energy. Instead of opposing it head-on, the Stoic seeks to channel that energy toward a more constructive path. This is the art of redirection, taking the raw force of anger and guiding it into clarity, understanding, or resolution. Epictetus taught, "What disturbs men is not things, but the views they take of them." By redirecting the energy of an aggressive person, we subtly shift their perspective. This method does not confront aggression. It transforms it, making the person feel heard, understood, and eventually disarmed. Why redirection works. Aggression often arises from unmet needs, misunderstandings, or unresolved frustrations. When someone lashes out, they are rarely attacking you personally. They are reacting to their own inner turmoil. Redirecting their energy allows you to diffuse the emotional charge by addressing their underlying concerns. Prevent escalation by shifting the focus from conflict to resolution. Build a bridge of communication, transforming opposition into cooperation. As Marcus Aurelius advised, do not be overwhelmed by the force of your emotions. Instead, direct them wisely. This principle applies not only to our emotions, but also to those of others. How to redirect aggressive energy. Acknowledge their emotions. An angry person often feels invalidated or ignored. Start by recognizing their feelings without agreeing to their behavior. For example, I see that you're upset, and it's clear this is important to you. This simple acknowledgement can immediately lower their defenses, as it shows you are not dismissing their experience. Ask thoughtful questions. Redirect their energy into reflection by asking open-ended questions. These questions steer the conversation toward problem solving and away from blame. What do you think would help resolve this issue? Can you help me understand what's really bothering you? These queries force them to pause, shift from reacting to thinking, and consider constructive solutions. Reframe the problem. Instead of letting the aggression define the interaction, reshape the narrative, highlight shared goals or interests to align their focus with yours. We both want this to work out, so how can we approach this together? This reframing transforms the conflict from me versus you to us versus the problem. Offer an alternative perspective. Sometimes, aggression stems from a distorted view of the situation. By calmly presenting a different angle, you can redirect their thoughts without invalidating their feelings. I understand how it might look that way, but here's what I see. When done respectfully, this approach encourages them to reconsider their stance without feeling attacked. The effect of redirection on the aggressor. Redirection shifts the aggressor's energy from destructive to constructive. Instead of feeling trapped in a cycle of blame and defense, they find themselves moving toward clarity and resolution. This tactic also subtly puts you in control of the interaction. By guiding the conversation, you become the calm center in their storm. Over time, they may even come to appreciate your approach, seeing you as someone who values solutions over conflict. The Stoics' perspective on energy. To redirect energy is to act as a skillful mediator, not only for others, but also for ourselves. Seneca wrote, "A man's true delight is to do the things he was made for." We are not made to battle against others' anger. We are made to cultivate understanding and harmony. Redirecting aggression is not about manipulation or appeasement. It is about recognizing the potential within every interaction to lead it toward growth. The more we practice this skill, the more natural it becomes to turn hostility into harmony. An example in practice. Imagine a coworker angrily accuses you of making a mistake. Instead of reacting defensively, you redirect their energy. I understand this has been frustrating. Can we go over it together to figure out what went wrong? By acknowledging their frustration and inviting collaboration, you guide their aggression toward problem solving. As the conversation unfolds, their anger dissipates, replaced by focus and cooperation. Turning storms into streams. Aggression is not inherently bad. It is simply energy waiting to be directed. The Stoic knows how to wield this force wisely, transforming moments of conflict into opportunities for growth and understanding. Let us not waste energy fighting against others' storms. Instead, let us become the channel that guides their rivers into calmer waters. Together, we can turn aggression into clarity, hostility into harmony, and opposition into connection. 4. Use the mirror technique, reflecting behavior to reveal truth. Aggression often blinds the aggressor to the impact of their own actions. They lash out, unaware of how their words and tone affect others. The Stoic, however, does not confront aggression with aggression, but reflects it back, holding up a mirror so the aggressor can see themselves clearly. Seneca taught, "Anger, an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured." The mirror technique exposes this truth by calmly mirroring the aggressor's behavior, not to mock, but to illuminate. In doing so, you help them realize the absurdity or destructiveness of their actions without direct confrontation. Why the mirror technique works. Self-awareness through reflection. When people see their behavior mirrored back to them, they often experience a moment of self-awareness. Aggression thrives in a vacuum where individuals are oblivious to their own actions. Reflection forces them to confront the reality of their behavior. Breaking the emotional cycle. Aggressive interactions create an emotional loop where one person's anger feeds the other's response. By mirroring calmly, you disrupt this loop. The aggressor is confronted not with opposition, but with an objective portrayal of their actions. Softening defenses. Direct confrontation can trigger defensiveness. Mirroring bypasses this by subtly showing the aggressor their behavior without accusing or blaming, making it more likely they will reflect rather than retaliate. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change." The mirror technique fosters this kind of introspection. How to use the mirror technique. Reflect their tone calmly. If someone raises their voice, you might reply with a measured tone that mimics their volume but conveys calm. "I hear that you're upset and you're speaking very forcefully. Can we bring this down a notch so we can really address the issue?" This approach acknowledges their intensity while subtly encouraging them to temper it. Repeat key phrases or words. Reiterating what the aggressor says, using their exact words, can highlight the irrationality or excessiveness of their statements. If they say, "You never listen to me," you could respond, "You feel like I never listen to you." This technique forces them to hear their own words in a calmer tone, often prompting them to reconsider. Match their body language, but stay composed. If someone is physically animated, you might mirror their gestures subtly, such as leaning in when they do. This physical mirroring creates a subconscious sense of connection, making them more receptive to a shift in the interaction. Echo the emotional core. Instead of matching their aggression, reflect the emotion behind it. "It sounds like you're really frustrated about this situation." This helps them feel understood while subtly guiding them toward introspection. The mirror's effect on the aggressor. Recognition. When they see their words, tone, or actions mirrored back, many aggressors experience a moment of recognition. They may feel embarrassed, humbled, or even regretful. Deflation of aggression. Reflection often drains the energy from aggression. It forces the aggressor to pause, disrupting the emotional momentum of their anger. Invitation to change. the mirror creates an opening for the aggressor to adjust their behavior voluntarily. By showing them their actions without judgment, you encourage them to self-correct. The Stoic approach to mirroring. The mirror technique is not about passive acceptance or mockery. It is about clarity and connection. As Epictetus taught, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Mirroring is a deliberate choice to respond with calm wisdom rather than reactive emotion. This technique also embodies a deeper Stoic principle that our role is not to dominate others, but to help them see their own potential for reason and virtue. By reflecting their behavior, we guide them toward greater self-awareness, fostering growth rather than conflict. An example in practice? Imagine a friend angrily accuses you of being unreliable, shouting, "Oh, you're always late. You don't care about my time." Instead of reacting defensively, you mirror their words calmly. "You feel like I'm always late and that I don't value your time?" Hearing their words repeated without anger, they may pause and reflect. You continue. "I can see how that would frustrate you, and let's talk about how we can handle this better in the future." This simple act of mirroring shifts the focus from blame to resolution, softening their aggression and opening the door to constructive dialogue. Holding up the mirror together. To use the mirror technique is to trust in the power of self-awareness. It requires patience and emotional mastery to hold the mirror steady while someone else struggles with their reflection. But in doing so, you embody the essence of Stoicism, guiding others toward reason and understanding through calm strength. Together, let us be the mirrors in moments of conflict, reflecting not aggression but clarity. In this way, we do not just change interactions, we change perspectives, helping ourselves and others grow closer to the virtues of wisdom and self-control. 5. Invoke empathy through story, bridging aggression with understanding. When facing aggression, we often instinctively push back, but the Stoic knows that stories have a unique power to disarm hostility. They bypass defensiveness, appealing directly to the shared humanity of both speaker and listener. Invoking empathy through storytelling is not a tactic of manipulation, but a sincere attempt to connect, to shift the aggressor's focus from their anger to a deeper understanding of others' experiences and emotions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Enter into every man's mind and let every other man enter into yours." Stories achieve this by creating an emotional bridge, transforming confrontation into connection. Why stories disarm aggression? They humanize the interaction. Aggression thrives on dehumanization. When someone is angry, they often reduce the other person to an obstacle or enemy. A well-told story reminds them of shared vulnerabilities and struggles, breaking down barriers. They shift perspective. A story allows the aggressor to step outside their own anger and view the situation from a different lens. It's hard to remain hostile when faced with relatable or emotionally resonant narratives. They engage emotion, not ego. Anger often stems from wounded pride or unmet expectations. Stories engage the heart rather than the ego, inviting reflection instead of resistance. As Seneca said, it is part of the cure to wish to be cured. Stories plant the seed for that desire. How to invoke empathy through story. Choose a relevant story. Select a story that aligns with the situation or emotion at hand. It could be personal, historical, or even hypothetical, but it must resonate with the aggressor's current feelings. For example, if someone's angry about a perceived betrayal, you might share a story about a time you misunderstood someone's intentions and later found clarity. Make the story relatable. The story should be simple, human, and universal. Avoid preaching or overcomplicating it. Instead, highlight emotions and decisions that anyone can relate to. I once had a coworker who snapped at me over something I didn't even realize I'd done. At first, I was defensive, but when I found out they'd been under intense pressure at home, I understood their reaction. It changed how I saw the situation. Focus on emotions, not outcomes. Instead of emphasizing the lesson of the story, focus on the emotions experienced by the characters. Let the aggressor find their own interpretation. For example, there was a man who lost his temper with a stranger, only to learn later that the stranger had just received devastating news. Imagine how he felt, realizing his anger added to someone else's pain. Ask reflective questions. After sharing the story, gently guide the aggressor to connect it to their own behavior. Avoid accusations. Instead, frame your questions as invitations to empathy. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt misunderstood or overwhelmed like that? What do you think the stranger needed in that moment? The impact of storytelling on the aggressor. Disarming hostility. Aggression is often self-perpetuating, fueled by a narrow focus on grievances. Stories widen that focus, replacing anger with curiosity or reflection. Fostering empathy. By stepping into the shoes of someone else, whether the storyteller or the subject of the story, the aggressor begins to see the situation in a more balanced light. Encouraging accountability. When aggressors identify with the flawed characters in a story, they are more likely to reflect on their own actions without feeling directly criticized. The Stoic approach to storytelling. To the Stoic, stories are more than words. They are tools for cultivating virtue and connection. Epictetus said, "First, learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak." A story shared with purpose has the power to transform conflict into understanding. The act of telling a story also requires us to embody Stoic virtues. It demands patience to listen, wisdom to choose the right narrative, and courage to guide the aggressor towards self-reflection. In doing so, we remain calm in the storm, becoming both teacher and example. Or in the opposite, by default, the thing we forget and the thing we examine within every step of the defense pays off. An example in practice. Imagine a friend is furious over what they perceive as an unfair critique of their work. Instead of defending yourself, you share this story. You know, years ago, I was leading a project I cared deeply about. When someone criticized it, I was furious. But later I realized they were trying to help me improve. Their delivery wasn't great, but their intent was good. It taught me to look beyond the words and see the intention. This story shifts the focus from blame to reflection. You might follow up with, "Do you think it's possible the critique was meant to help you, even if it didn't feel that way?" By sharing a personal story, you create a space where anger can dissolve into understanding. Together, we build bridges. Stories are powerful because they remind us of our shared humanity. In invoking empathy through narrative, we not only disarm aggression, but also foster deeper connections. Let us, as Stoics, remember that every conflict is an opportunity to guide others toward wisdom and self-awareness. Through stories, we do not just diffuse hostility, we create a path for growth, understanding, and harmony. Together, we can transform moments of discord into lessons of compassion. 6. Leave the door open for regret, the quiet power of reflection. Aggression often masks insecurity or impulsiveness. When someone lashes out, they rarely consider the long-term consequences of their words or actions in the heat of the moment. A Stoic, however, recognizes the power of silence and composure to encourage introspection. By maintaining dignity and offering a clear path to reconciliation, you subtly invite the aggressor to reflect on their behavior and to regret it on their own terms. As Epictetus wisely taught, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. By reacting with calm restraint, you hold a mirror up to the aggressor, not through confrontation, but through your unwavering composure. Why leaving the door open for regret works. Reflection requires space. Aggressive individuals often double down when met with resistance. By refusing to engage in their hostility, you create a silent void where reflection can take root. People are more likely to regret their actions when they are given time and space to process them without external pressure. The power of contrast. Your calm demeanor serves as a stark contrast to their aggression, making their behavior appear exaggerated and unnecessary. This difference magnifies their awareness of their own actions, nudging them toward regret. Avoiding the trap of escalation. When you refuse to retaliate, you deny the aggressor the fuel they need to justify their anger. This often leaves them alone with their emotions, forcing them to confront the reasons behind their outburst. How to leave the door open for regret. Respond with silence or minimal words. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Silence is not weakness, it is a deliberate choice to disengage from destructive emotions. If someone shouts at you, simply hold their gaze with a calm expression. Resist the urge to argue or defend yourself. If you do speak, choose neutral phrases that neither escalate nor dismiss. I see this matters a lot to you. Let's revisit this when we're both calmer. This approach leaves the aggressor with nothing to fight against, encouraging them to reflect instead. Show unshakable dignity. Refuse to stoop to their level. Your composed demeanor demonstrates emotional strength, making it clear that their aggression has not rattled you. Stand tall, maintain steady eye contact, and use a measured tone. Avoid sarcasm or passive-aggressive remarks, as these can reignite hostility. Dignity is a quiet power that commands respect, even from those who are angry. Offer a path to reconciliation. By leaving the door open for future dialogue, you give the aggressor a way to make amends without fear of rejection or humiliation. If you'd like to talk about this later, I'm here. I understand you're upset. Let me know when you're ready to discuss it calmly. These statements signal that you value resolution, but will not tolerate further aggression. They also provide the aggressor with an opportunity to approach you on their terms once they've calmed down. Walk away, but leave no hostility behind. If the situation escalates despite your efforts, walking away may be the wisest choice. However, How you leave matters. Do so calmly, without slamming doors, literally or figuratively. Say something neutral as you leave. Let's continue this when we've both had time to think. This exit strategy ensures that your departure is seen as a boundary, not a retreat or an act of hostility. The impact on the aggressor. The weight of their actions. When met with calm restraint, the aggressor is often left to confront their own behavior without distraction. This unfiltered reflection can lead to regret. The desire to restore balance. By offering a path to reconciliation, you awaken their intrinsic desire to restore balance and harmony. People naturally want to repair damaged relationships when given the chance to do so with dignity. Respect for your strength. Your composure may initially frustrate the aggressor, but over time, it often earns their respect. They recognize your emotional strength and are less likely to challenge you in the future. The Stoic approach to regret. The Stoic does not seek to humiliate or dominate the aggressor, but to guide them towards self-awareness and growth. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In leaving the door open for regret, you exercise that power by refusing to let external aggression dictate your internal state. This approach also aligns with the Stoic principle of justice. By remaining composed and extending an invitation to reconciliation, you embody fairness and humanity, even when others fail to do so. An example in practice. Imagine a colleague accuses you of sabotaging their work in front of others. Instead of reacting defensively, you remain calm and say, I hear that you're upset. Let's talk privately when emotions aren't running so high. Later, when they approach you with a cooler head, you might add, I'd like to resolve this constructively. I respect your perspective, and I hope we can move forward together. Your initial restraint creates a space for the colleague to reflect on their accusations and perhaps regret their public outburst. Together, we create space for reflection. Leaving the door open for regret is an act of faith in the power of human reflection and growth. It requires patience and self-retrieval to step back and let time work its magic. As we walk this path of Stoicism together, let us remember that our goal is not to win arguments, but to guide ourselves and others toward reason and virtue. Through calm restraint and quiet strength, we plant seeds of regret that may one day blossom into understanding, respect, and harmony. The final victory, mastery over self. Each of these strategies hinges on one principle, mastery over ourselves. If we allow another's anger to control our actions, we have already lost. But if we meet their aggression with unwavering composure, we achieve a victory far greater than silencing them. We grow stronger. In the end, the aggressive person may never voice their regret, but that is not our concern. The best revenge, said Marcus Aurelius, is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Let us walk this path together, transforming conflict into an opportunity for growth, not just for them, but for us. When we practice these verbal strategies, we honor the Stoic ideal of fortitude. We overcome destructive emotions, not by denying them, but by rising above them. Together, we cultivate the strength to be unshaken, the wisdom to see clearly, and the grace to inspire change, not through force, but through example. If this video resonated with you, If you found value in the wisdom shared here, take a moment to reflect on why you're here. We are on a shared journey, a path of growth, resilience, and mastering the art of navigating life's challenges with strength and dignity. By liking this video, you're not just supporting this message, you're making a statement. You're telling yourself, this is the kind of energy I want in my life. Subscribing to this channel is more than a click. It's a commitment to your growth. Every video we create is designed to inspire you, challenge you, and help you unlock the strength that already lies within you. Together, we're building a community of thinkers, seekers, and doers, a community that values calm over chaos, strength over aggression, and wisdom over impulse. So, if you're ready to continue this journey of transformation, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Let's walk this path together. After all, we're just getting started.